Right, if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for this morning. The presidency has confirmed that President Bola Tinubu is currently working remotely from overseas and is expected to return to Nigeria after Easter holidays. This clarification comes amid public speculations regarding his whereabouts and the nature of his engagements abroad. According to the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu is fulfilling his official duties while abroad and is scheduled to return to Nigeria after the Easter celebrations. The president emphasized that the president's current engagements are in line with his commitment to national development and international cooperation. This development has sparked discussions among Nigerians, with some expressing concerns over the frequency of the president's trip abroad and the implication for domestic governance. Others argue that remote work is a practical approach in the digital age, allowing the president to manage affairs effectively while engaging in international diplomacy. As the nation awaits President Tinubu's return, the focus remains on how his overseas engagement will translate into tangible benefits for Nigeria, particularly in areas such as economic growth, foreign investment, and international partnerships. I still have with me Barrister Fansufeli and Innocent Duluba. It's so very interesting that at a time like this, we are having such a discussion. Lots of Nigerians would really say, are we really having this discussion? Barrister Fansufeli, let's talk about this. But I'd love you to, say everything you need to talk about on this particular matter with something on that reference here. The profligacy of power, Bola Tinubu's many travels to France, and the death of patriotism.
Well, that captures it, really, because now you see Bayo Onanuga trying to defend the indefensible by saying the president working remotely is the ideal thing to do as the president is doing that and engaging in diplomatic relations. Those are just grammar. The president is not doing well to start with. The president have not in any way made the lives of Nigerians better than he met it. As at the time the president came, people were not suffering like this. He came and took reckless decisions, took the country backward, only for him to be jetting out of the country, the same country he damaged. He himself cannot even stay, let alone the poor. He cannot even afford to stay in the country he's mismanaging. He has to jet out all the time to work remotely. That tells you that is a death of patriotism, truly. That's the death of patriotism, because they knew that all the president did in terms of policy in one straight year were all errors. And this is the fruit of that error. This is the fruit. This is the hardship that comes with lack of diligence. And so he has to pay. The president spent so much money renovating the house of the vice president and so on, Dodan Barrack, Lagos. Okay, Aso Rock, where they stay, they live in profligacy and luxury. Okay, still he's unable to reflect. He's unable to reflect on his administration in those. What they told us when he was leaving was that the president is taking a walk, going for a work visit. Okay, and that he's going to take time out to reflect on his policies and all that. And this reflection we are talking about, all the properties they spent money to acquire, to build, to renovate, were not enough for him to go in there and reflect. He has to keep spending taxpayers' money to leave the country, to jet out to France. And that continuous visit to France has also helped it has also created a problem for us in our foreign policy, because that is the main reason the Sahel, whatever it is, they are waxing strong and creating more, that the ECOWAS president himself is in alliance with France. Okay? So, if you look at, that's why the Nigerians will never listen to him. The military junta there, and some other places where you've had these takeovers, They don't recognize him. ECOWAS is not recognized. Okay, out of the 15 countries in ECOWAS, over 6 of them have done the opposite of what ECOWAS stands for. Okay, so even by international evaluation, the president is working at cross purpose. He forgot that he's the ECOWAS chairman. He forgot that he's the president of the largest black concentrated nation of the world, persons in the world. He forgot all that. You know? He forgot that we have an indigenous philosophy of an indigenous economy to build. He forgot that the citizens are unemployed. That largely so, our economic management is not, we're not doing well. He just jet out. So if you govern a country up to the point where you cannot stay in that country, that's a height of failure. And I agree with that summation that it is a death of patriotism.
Very, very true. Innocent Duluba, is actually very concerning that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who once criticized past leaders in Nigeria on why they should, jet out to other nations around the world to govern from there, is himself being part of what he criticized about. Is this not another sheer possibility for hypocrisy being normalized in Nigeria?
Well, this underlines the value the government, in this case the presidency, places on its citizens. One of the legs in the definition of democracy is respect for human rights, and it is the right of citizens to have their presidents with them. And then why I'm speaking this way is the country seems to usually be greeted by silence from the relevant quarters where explanations are needed. And so there is always this lacuna in communication, and then people can go to town with different postulations. On April 2nd, when President Tinubu departed Abuja for Paris on a working visit, Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, had said during the visit that the President is using this time to appraise his administration's mid-term performance and assess key milestones, review the progress of ongoing reforms, engage in strategic planning ahead of the administration's second anniversary. As far as I'm concerned, you can quote me like President Buhari, President Tinubu has gone for medical repairs. They don't tell us anymore that they are going for that. When they do for official visits, I told you then, they will tell you they are going for 1 week or 1 month. Then when they get there, they extend it. If you want to point at countries Nigeria would like to be like, as regards development in all facets of life, such countries' presidents are never reported to go holidaying in another country. If I remember very well, the greatest human being I know that has ever lived, I'm not talking about our Lord Jesus Christ, is Nelson Mandela. He was ill, he was hospitalized there in South Africa in a military hospital. And then experts were flown to him. He died in his country. So the narrative would look distorted. Oh, we are talking presidential vacation. No. Nigerian elected leaders should stay in Nigeria. What is the big deal being discussed? And this is the first time in my life at this level ever, I read a news headline and I felt disgraced. I felt insulted about Nigeria that the tabloids are telling us, they are screaming headlines that Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now working remote. Can you hear that, Henry? The president of the country now works remote from another country. Like we have heard, he's the president of ECOWAS. I wouldn't know if one of the big agenda on the plate is the situation in Niger and in France. The ECOWAS president is just minutes away from having a meeting with the French president, Emmanuel Macron, and then we don't know what strategies, but I would say leave Niger alone, leave Burkina alone. Nigeria is President Tinubu's priority now. Nigeria is burning. Deaths, gory pictures, people being maimed, killed, assailed for free. The security agencies are passive, and such passivity is tacit support for killings of innocent people in Otobi, in Otuko, in wherever, in Benue, in Plateau. Human lives and pockets of banditry ongoing, fertilizing people's accounts, not trade. So I think what the president can do, we love him. It's because Nigerians love their president that they're asking for him to come close. A father should be home to keep the peace. So I think, I don't know, the president, I would have thought that even if he had a particular time to stay, with all of these happenings, patriotism warrants, he cut short his visit and returns home. A lot of people are speaking, but you will hear again that they are whalers. The media, former Vice President Atiku, I've read about him. It's a good call. I've read about former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and many more. It's everywhere. I think we should look at the cliche: charity begins at home, not charity begins abroad. In this case, Henry.
Very true, Barrister Francis Feli. Nigerians have been speaking out just like Innocent did say, and they are saying what we need is a leader, not a tourist. Okay, who goes and comes whenever he wants. But let's speak to the issue of democracy. We have been served the information, and we've of course accepted it that democracy is the best form of government. During the military dictatorship, we didn't see military dictators leaving Nigeria to other parts of the world. The state put here to ensure that whatever it is they were supposed to take care of was taken care of. But are we beginning to have a different narrative to this democracy thing? Is this a true sort of evolution that we are unaware about with democracy as a tag word?
It's recklessness. African democracy is recklessness. Okay, I mean, as democracy where you are not able to put together public health care, that as a leader of a country you have to rely on health care facilities outside your country for yourself. It's an indictment on the leader. It's an indictment. If you have the vintage of love as a leader and you have any iota of shame, you will not polarize your country. You will not put it in a condition, in a state where you cannot treat yourself in your country. Even the governors that claim to have built world-class hospitals cannot use the hospitals. They cannot use it. So what are we? We are deceiving ourselves. That we are being world-class is world-class, that we are deceiving ourselves. Okay. We have a long way to go. We are not investing in the citizens. I've never seen any country in the world that will take her resources to elsewhere when the citizens, you are supposed to invest in the citizens. You call America today because it invests in the citizens. Okay? First world countries invest in their citizens. You invest in your citizens. You put education in order, put healthcare system in order, insurance. Make sure that the resources of the country is expended on the citizens. If you do that or half of that, your citizens will not be interested in going anywhere.
Well.
Because any of your citizens that are out of the country will be missing out. He will be somewhere as a second-class citizen, whereas back home, the citizens are being taken care of. So, I mean, one of the ways to grow a country is that the country must invest in its citizens. Here, there's no investment in the citizens. Even when the citizens want to invest in themselves, the country will also refuse. The country will come up with policies that will thwart that and make sure that the masses are stranded at all times. So when you have that kind of country, people will be leaving. The ones who are left, they are not okay. The ones who are leaving, there's problem everywhere. And I don't think this is how to run a country. And it's unfortunate that we have an old man that doesn't know what he's doing. He's not even bothered. The one before him was the same. So you now have to put up with 16 years of this kind of leadership. This man must not return the second time. He must not return the second time because if he returns second time, already when Buhari left, before he came in, we knew where the country was. As the time he was leaving, we did not even recognize the country again. This man, the way he's going, he will get to a point where he may shut this country down completely. So there must be an intervention. Somebody must do something. All this one that Erufai is saying the truth, even though he's saying it selfishly. This country, something must happen. This man must not return a second time. He does not have the temperament of leadership. He cannot lead. He cannot lead. This is not how to lead.
Very, very true. Innocent, this is actually very sad that we're having such a discussion in 2025 where the world is trying to, move beyond and we are not even trying to catch up in any way. This is not a laughing matter, but sometimes we jokingly, make some of these things. Some Nigerians have said that we would have allowed our colonialists to have stayed longer, maybe would have gotten things right, like South Africa. Just like Barrister did say, some citizens of some nations would not want to leave their country. South Africans don't want to leave South Africa. Hardly you see them move out of South Africa. They're very comfortable with what they have as a country. So the question is, as someone who truly does understand political history, do you think that if our colonialists had stayed longer, maybe to about the 80s, would we have gotten it right?
Well, I think it's beyond colonialism. It's about the genuine political will. It's about the human being, individual and collective, our recognition and practice of integrity, of respect for values. Rwanda, look at Rwanda. Nobody wishes for extended colonialism. If you fought for independence, you are claiming your maturity. You are expressing your readiness for self-rule. And I doubt, look, Henry, this has nothing to do with extended colonialism. Nigeria has the people who can solve Nigeria's problems in 3 months. They are living in Kano, in Enugu, Oyo, Taraba, Enugu. They are in the country. Will they be allowed to win elections and occupy those portfolios? No. So I don't think this is a case of we have heard people like Chief Gani Fawehinmi. We've heard his manifesto. Did we vote for him? We've heard even governors. I was embarrassed when somebody like Femi Falana or SCN couldn't win election in his state as a governor. How about the last one, Peter Obi, the former Anambra State governor? And it now pushes people. There was a time in one of our gatherings, Christine Lagarde, the IMF president, she said the French are wishing Dr. Okonjo-Iweala was French, so she could run for the presidency. The French. In Nigeria, will Dr. Okonjo-Iweala pick up a senatorial ticket in, let me use the word, the major parties? Is it because she's not qualified? When she was just an appointed official as a minister, did you see how it played out? So we shouldn't put it down to it. We should free ourselves from neo-colonialism. Nigeria should run without taking instructions from IMF and World Bank. You heard Barrister Ophelia in the studio says, even when the citizens are going to even empower themselves, the government, the one governing the people, bring out obnoxious policies. As we speak, there is I don't know if it has taken effect for solar. I thought that you could ban import when you are now self-sufficient or you have structures that are pointing towards self-sufficiency. But knowing that that is an escape route for the common Nigerian against the outrageous power energy bill, you block them somewhere. Henry, what state do you know that carries out massive mechanized agriculture? What state do you know that there is ongoing agro-processing of surplus harvest? Eh? There are people who can do this. Will they pick up tickets of, in quotes, the major political parties? If they go to, in quotes, smaller political parties, will INEC give them the expected result? So sometimes you want to hope in Nigeria, but then you start searching if there is hope at all, Henry. You know, and then when you speak, okay, ordinary for Nigerians to express themselves. We don't like this. This is what we like. As soon as they go to the street, unarmed, the soldiers and police are there. And I ask, what is the what you know? I think it's only demented people that open fire on unarmed people. So what kind of can a police inspector, commissioner, army head, do we take blind instruction, shoot at these people, and then you shoot at unarmed people? So, Henry, it's a spectrum. Nigeria is bipolar. In this place, we do a little of the developmental. On the other pole, look, we are not worth looking at. You know, it's a bazaar canteen dashboard, and children are being born daily. Children celebrate graduation from NYSC camp. Their future unknown. Millions of Nigerians are trapped in IDP camps. More are being chased by Boko Haram and bandits in there. What are we to point at as an index of hope? Transparently, Henry.
Very true. Very, very true. It's actually a very sad situation. Thank you so very much, Innocent Aduluba. In 60 seconds, Barrister Evans Ofeli, the South Korean High Commissioner was interviewed on one of the national TVs, and he said how they wished they could maybe replace their country for Nigeria. They are faced with a plethora of natural disasters. Some of them they can't control, some they are able to manage. But Nigeria, we have a haven of everything. According to him, he said it's like God created Africa first, starting with Nigeria. Now the question is, let's assume we press that default button. Let's start afresh. Do you think we can get it right?
We can. We can get it right. Nigeria was in the right track before now. In the early 80s, Nigeria was okay. People came, Caucasians came to teach in our primary schools. They couldn't even admit them to teach in our secondary schools. They came to teach in our primary schools. I remember even before I left University of Jos, I was taught by the Caucasians. True, you know. So that was the country we call Nigeria. It was self-sufficient. In agriculture, we were number one in Africa. Even when we were under regionalism, the southeastern economy was the number one in the whole of Africa. It grew by almost 80% within that short period before military struck again. Okay, and took down that republic. So Nigeria was everything. We had electricity in 1867 in Lagos. Before most countries in Europe had electricity, they were using oil lantern and coal. We had electricity in 1867. Lagos had become a crown colony in 1861. 6 years later, we had electricity. We had television before France in Ibadan. So there are so many things. We had the North culture of Plateau. We had so many. If you look at our history is a glorious one. But military struck, civilian came, military struck, civilian came, and before you know it, we were in a fourth republic. We don't know where we were again. The moment we discovered oil in 1958, everything became blood. Corruption kicked in, different kind of things. It was like they just put fire in our brain. We could not think again. We could not sustain agriculture. We could not sustain the early kind of operations we started with. And everything just fizzled out. See where we are today. Can you compare Nigeria and France today? You cannot. So this is a country that can still, if we take that, like you're talking about, pressing the default button again and start afresh, it won't take us, if we're doing the right thing, it won't take us the next 20 years to become one of the best in the globe.
Despite our division, ethnicity.
No, those are the things we have to discuss. That is the restructuring they're talking about. We have to discuss. There is a need for us to have federalism. We must, because that's the comparative advantage we have, for which this country can grow. I've said this before. Imagine if the Apapa port is managed by the Apapa local government. Just imagine. If that port is managed by the Apapa local, and the local government have nothing again, would Apapa be the way it is? Apapa will be finer than New York because the local government is the one managing that resource. That's federalism. The federal government should go back to Abuja and go and face his problem, his immediate problem, and leave all these external issues for the region. You understand? In Enugu, they have coal till date. Coal is still in high demand in the world. In Plateau State, you have iron ore. Iron ore is still in high demand in the world. In Delta State, you have uranium. It's still in high demand in the world. In Ondo and Ogun, you have bitumen in massive commercial quantity. You understand? In the Niger Delta, you have the oil. So, if we have federalism, we will have dismantled even the National Assembly. Let what you call National Assembly go to your state and constitute a state house of assembly and control resources. Make approval for revenue and all that. Then every state will start to draw railway. Pick the railway through from your state into the other state. The other state will pick it up from there. You get to the boundary, the other state will pick it up from there. Before you know it, the entire country is constructed. That is what they have in the US. These things are managed by the federal authority. Have just few defense and few items in their exclusive list. Every other thing should be the concurrent. Should be for the state to manage. If you have that, we'll go further than where we are. Just adjustment in policies. You can't have 66 items in the exclusive list. You have no competence on one. Even mining that you put there, you have an NPC that cannot handle it. So that's not how to run a country. You should have just maybe defense and just few items there. Focus on that. Let the state take on the rest one. Let them pay tax to the center. Okay? Even with the tax, you still have enough to run the federal affairs. But they are not ready to do that. The country is like on life support now. Because very soon, if care is not taken, we'll be forced to start afresh. Like if we are not going to do it officially. Already, we have been so suffocated to the point where some states are even going into that federal exclusive list to pull down some things into the states. And the federal, look at prisons, for example. The federal government, they were even the one that cried out. The federal government itself, they're the one that cried out that said, this thing in the school, come and take it down, go and pay for your inmates. Most of the crime they committed, these people that were feeding, were state offenses. But because state don't have prison, local government don't have prisons, you put them in our prison, we'll be paying. Come and take it. Why don't we have this conference and bring these things down to the state? Let the state manage them. That's the way to go. Things will be different.
All right, Innocent Adoba, please in 60 seconds. Of course, as we consume and enjoy the alternative by Stefan Sufili, do you think the China alternative is equally good enough? A one-party state run by one man. Let's just assume that the one man is a good man. Who controls the state affairs and ensure that everyone gets what they have, grow the economy. Do you think that is equally a worthy enough alternative to?
No, we don't need a uni-party system. Because of our ethnic diversity, we need a multi-party system. And in the multi-party system, the system of government suitable for Nigeria is either a parliamentary system or a confederal system of government. In the confederacy, the center is at its weakest, and they saddled with few tasks like defense, currency, custom, international trade. And so like South Africa, like Switzerland, the United States of America, some of these federal examples or confederacy, you find that the biggest elections are the local government election. It's at the local government level, like Barrister told you, housing, roads, infrastructure, welfare falls into. So now in Nigeria, if you take a one-party state and look at in the multi-party state we are in, we are yet to have a governor who is we are yet to have a president in modern Nigeria of the Igbo extraction. By the time it goes one party, maybe it will take 20 generations for it to get to another. And we are very ethnic conscious in Nigeria. Look, it's not about the culture of the person. It's not about what walk of life. It's the genuine political way. Xi Jinping in China can as well be a dictator. He will know. The thing is, he will no longer be an example or a reference. You know. So Nigeria is great. A lot of amendments need to be continued as regards our laws to loosen up, to free the country. Is a lovely blessed. You said the Korea example. We are lovely blessed. Nigeria is drained with a lot of rivers. The weather is good for all the spectrum of crop you want. So let the country get loosened up, and then in this kind of economy, for instance, our lending rates are in double digits in this season recession, you know. So we should loosen up. Let encourage people. Let ideas come up, and then people run with it. The Chinese example is not. It cannot work in Nigeria. They are very monocultural. We are not. But it's the selection system and then the judicial system. All of them working transparently. Let's glorify excellence. Let us crucify mediocrity. Nigeria will bounce back. It is forward ever for Nigeria, backward never. Nigeria will walk again.
Very well, Nigeria would walk again. A popular vlogger, Edward Wonder, who goes around Nigeria promoting the greatness of Nigeria, very proud brand ambassador of the country, would always say that Nigeria is a very wonderful place. But on the other side, we have leaders who do not respect patriotism. And the question is, if our leader, President Bola Tinubu, does not see Nigeria worthy enough for him to stay, the question is, why would the rest of us want to do the same? We definitely wish the president well and hope that he returns back well to, of course, manage the situation that we have. We pray and we sincerely hope that Nigeria would walk again very, very soon. Thank you so very much, gentlemen. Innocent Ajuluba, we truly do appreciate you, Barrister Fansofeli.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you as always. All right, people, that's just about the time we have. We'd love to say thank you to you for making this a date. We truly do appreciate you. Please, you can visit us to read more on what we have talked about. When you see us at enterprisetvnews.com, you may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I'm Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.